Hello and welcome back to part 2. This is 202 of how to add a checkbox to your welcome screen that controls the sound effects. Where we left off in part 1 is this part here. Again, I made this one different from my last variable I created. Last time I had was integer. This time is a character, and again it's because it uses less memory. You can change this in your program if you want later and make this a character to make this more smaller. And it can still be a 0, 1. This could be a 0, 1, 2, but I decided this is more understandable. It says sound effects on, Y for yes, and here's the leisure, Y for yes, and N for no, lowercase n and lowercase y. And so to me it reads better, sound effects on, yes, so why did I do that for the first one? Well, I wasn't thinking actually, but also most of the time this is how I usually make my variables. This is just the default way I do it. It's really not correct. This is probably the correct way, but this way won't hurt anything either. All right, well, let's move on. Now that we created the variable, we're going to go ahead and scroll down to we're going to add button 2 to this program. And here's button 1. Again, it's in the launch button. And we're going to create button 2 right after checkbox 2 right after checkbox 1. So all we're going to do is highlight checkbox 1, copy. We're going to go at the last page of checkbox 1, hit enter twice to make space, and then right click here and hit paste. Now we don't need 2 of these checkbox obviously. Our code for both checkbox 1, so we're going to make this checkbox 2. That way we're going to have to rewrite the whole code. We know the ID, I told you, remember, and we know where to find the ID or the name of the checkbox 2 is. And we know it's just checkbox 2. And here's another checkbox 2, right? 1. We're going to change it to 2. And pretty much that's it. You got all your checkbox 2 changes. The problem is we're changing the same variable up here as we're doing out here. We know that variable is going to be different. And we know if we scroll up, this is the variable we're going to use there, this one. This was for the sound effects. So right click on this, copy, come down here, and wherever you see this, change this. We're going to just put them both in here and paste them. Come down here, highlight the second one here and paste it. And we don't need all this. We just need, like we had before, is and then down here the same thing. I should have not copied everything. I should have just copied that. But basically that is. So if the box is checked, meaning they don't want it on, this should be no. So let's put a lowercase n. So if the checkbox is checked, meaning they don't want it on, then set this variable to n as no. Else, that means they didn't check it. That means they want it on. So it's yes. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Now we got one more thing. This variable needs to be reset on this page. So we're going to highlight this one, this lower one that says yes, right click on it, hit copy. And as we reset this variable of this page down here, we're going to reset this page. So just go right below it, make some space if you have to. I didn't have to. Hit paste and just set it back to yes, because the default is yes, on. And again, 0 is on for this one and yes is on for this one. So basically when this launch button is is pressed, it's going to run this checkbox to see if the checkbox is checked or not, and it's going to set the variable accordingly for checkbox for the background music. Then it's going to go through this and it's going to check if this box 2 checkbox is checked. And if it is, it's going to set this variable accordingly. And then it's going to go and come to this and run this, and it's going to say, oh, you want me to play the game? It's going to play the game. Once you exit the game, it's going to come here and it's going to rerun this. It's going to reset these 2 variables back to their default position of the background music is on and the checkbox on. And that's it. That's it for this page. Now we got one more page to change. So let's go over here inside to a Project Explorer. We're going to go down to the SRC folder. And we're going to go down to this file right here, or the package, and in the file called gameview.java. Double click on that. And you're going to look at the right hand side, and gameview.java is opened up. Where gameview.java is, again, the meat and potatoes, the game that actually plays the sound effects, delete the sprite from the screen and everything else. Okay, let's go to line 3 and hit this plus button. I always like to show you all the library files. I don't like anything hidden. And now we're going to go ahead and make the changes to this page so the game will start functioning. First, we're going to go down here to my line 34. These are the variables I created to the game. We're going to go to this last comment line here. double click on it. We're going to scroll it down a little bit, and we're going to go and make some space, and we're going to leave a comment here. The comment we're going to leave here is turning the sound effects on or off. And then I'm going to make a new variable for this page, and it's going to be a private character variable that matches my last character I made on my last page. We're going to call this new sound effects on, and it's going to equal the global variable we made in the welcome screen, call sound effects on semicolon. So we know where we got this. This is from our the variable on our welcome screen, the last page we're working on. And we're saying this global variable is going to equal this new variable we made on this page called new sound effects on. And so that way, whatever this equals on the welcome screen, this now equals. And this allows us to play with this, the value. So now this is, if that's on, if this is on, then this is a yes. And if this is off, then this is a no. So now we're going to scroll down all the way down to the end of this page. We're going to go all the way down, and line 18, this method is the meat and potato of the game. It tells you, if you touch the screen and which sprite you touch, and then it deletes that sprite, and then it plays the sound effects for it. So I want you to come down here, not this first if or this first for, but the second if. This is where you delete the sprite from memory if you killed it, and you play any sound effects to that sprite. So this part is, this says if this is a male sprite, delete it from memory and then play the sound effects for the male. Else, if it's not a male, then the only thing it could be is a female, just play this female sound effects. We're going to have an if statement in this, so because now it plays if you want it to play or it doesn't. So to do that, you do an if statement. We're going to come in here and we're going to go to this line minus 129 and the end of this sprite minus where it deletes the male sprite, and we're going to create an if statement here. If the new sound effects on is equal to is two equal signs yes, then we're going to go ahead and close this if statement. Then what you do is you're going to play, I'm going to indent this to make it look more readable. So if it's a male sprite you want to kill, delete the male sprite from this counting number variable I got, and then decide if the sound effects was yes. If it is, play the sound effects for the male. If it's no, then skip it and move on. Now, if it plays this if statement, say if it's a male sprite and it's not, it's a female, then come and do this. We're going to put the if statement in here too, and it's going to be basically the same thing. If you don't want to retype, all you got to do is just copy and paste this top line down here, and then indent this, and then you want to go to the end of this line here and hit enter, create space, and close the if statement. And you make sure this line is on. Don't forget this open bracket. And basically what you're saying now, if it's not a male, come to this else statement, which means if it's not a male, it's going to be a female, and play the sound effect. Only plays the sound effects for the female only if the sound effect variable of the checkbox is a yes. If it's yes, that they wanted to play, play it. If not, skip over it, don't play it, and move on. And that's it. That's all you're doing here. Now we'll go to top handbar. We notice that we have some on this tab. We have a asterisk on this one and this one over here called welcome screen. They need to be saved. So let's go up to the top here, the left hand to the bar. Go over to the left hand side to the save all icon. Click on that and look over here, and let's see if everything saved properly. As you can see up here, there's on the tabs on top, there's no warning, no red box saying there's an error, no yellow warning sign. So that means everything's saved properly. Let's go over here to the project explorer on the left hand side. We see that in the project there's no warnings or red box either, so we know it's going to run. So let's go to the top here, to the top bar, go to the right hand side, and we're going to hit play. So hit play. We're going to go down here and we're going to bring back our emulator that was already running. Here it is. It reloaded. As you can see, the checkbox, both checkboxes are now here in the game, the background music and the sound effects. So let's see if they work. Let's click on the background music. We know it works. Let's make sure it still works. Launch the game. I'm going to turn the speaker up and bring the speaker forward. Okay, you see there's no background music. Let's see if the sound effects work. As you can see, the sound effects works right. Let's hit the return button. And so now the background music is off. Let's turn the sound effects. So now the background music and the sound effects should be off. So let's hit the launch button. As you hear, there's no background music. Let's hit the kill the characters. There's no sound effects. So the background music is not playing, and neither the sound effects. I hit the arrow again. As you can see, they're both checked. Let's take off the sound effects. So hit the launch the game button. There's no background music, but the sound effects should be on. And it is. So let's hit the back arrow. Again, the background music was off, but we heard the sound effects. We can go ahead and do any version we want. So let's just do that. Mess everything. Press a bunch of buttons a couple times just to mess up the game. There's the background music. No sound effects. Back arrow. And let's mess with it again. Okay, now let's back arrow again just to see if it launches correctly. It should get reset when we get back into the game. So hit the back arrow one more time. We're back to our icon. Here's our icon again. The fourth row. I changed the icon to this bright character. Let's click on that. The box is reset to being all clear. It should play the background music and the sound effects. Launch the game. There's the background music. And there's the sound effects. Let's back arrow. Let's hit the exit button. We can go back in there. Just to make sure that the exit button works, let's launch the game. And there it is. It works perfect. The sound effects and the background music worked. As you can see, everything works perfect no matter if you get out with the exit button or back arrow. And no matter if you play with the checkbox several times, whatever you select works fine. And that's it. Now, again, I have to apologize. I did have to do that. In my first tutorial of this two-part tutorial, I had to do some error cleaning up of changing the checkbox buttons. Once again, I apologize. I hate to do that, but it had to be done. And that's it. That's the two tutorials that makes this sound effects checkbox work perfect. So again, this is the second tutorial of a two-part tutorial to just add this checkbox and the functionality of the checkbox to turn the sound effects on and off. Well, that's it. I believe this is probably going to be my last tutorial for this project, for this game. I might do one more if and only if I don't have to do any error correcting. That's because I hate showing people one way and they say, I made a mistake, you got to do this way, because it confuses people. Hopefully, I did it twice. This is my 12th tutorial. I had to do that error correction twice. I know what my problem was. I will not make that mistake again. Next time, I'll just make the game, do all the changes, and then I will start making the tutorial because I know there's no error correcting that needs to be done. But you live and learn. There's the game. It works perfectly. I hope you enjoyed all my tutorials. But other than that, good luck on all your coding projects. And I hope you enjoyed this series. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and good luck.